Ranger Russ back again. Didn't take me as long to get over here as I thought it would. If you look right here, this is one of my favorite plants. This is a little blueberry down here. I'm going to find a better blueberry though up ahead. So what I'm doing here is we are going to Baker's Cave. I'm going to tell you the story of Baker's Cave. Now, this story is not supported by any historical records whatsoever, but it is the story that I found in the, I think it was the Old Lyme Historical Society. The East Lyme Historical Society, I don't think had anything on it except what the park provided them. Now, if you come up here, we are going to get to, there's a little, that's not the cave though. Keep going. So this is the beginning of Baker's Cave. This is really just a rock overhang. All right, and you can see up here, it sort of is blocked. The cave entrance is back there. It's not a deep cave, probably 15 feet at the most. Okay, there's another way out of this overhang, and then back in there, that is the entrance to Baker's Cave. All right, I'm not going to go there because I don't have a flashlight, but this is Baker's Cave. The story goes that during the Revolutionary War, a gentleman with the last name of Baker was a Tory. He was a British sympathizer. Words are tough when you're this cold. So, he did not want to join the militia in the revolution, and he felt like they were going to force him to join, so he came here to hide. He did not want to fight at all. So he came and hid in this cave. They don't think that he actually lived in the cave. What he would do is when the militia was out recruiting, he would come up here and hide, and his family would bring him food or whatever he needed. But this is the story, that this is where he hid. Now, after the war, we looked for like historical records of a Baker family in this area and didn't find any, but there was a hint that he may have moved to Canada. Many of the British sympathizers moved to Canada, so at some point his family may have packed up and moved to Canada. So that may be one of the reasons why it's hard to find any record of Bakers in this area. But this is, you know, technically we're not in the cave. I'm just in an overhang right here, and that's the mouth of the cave there. I see a little bit of graffiti on the wall there. That's unfortunate. But this is the entranceway to Baker's Cave. Okay, we're going to come back out over here. I have never found anything living in Baker's Cave, not even a spider. So, oh, here's something. One of our previous, oh no, I don't think I did it on this. If you go to ranger.russ on Instagram, I've done several Instagram posts, and one of the little things I did in Instagram was this blue color here. This is a piece of a birch tree. This is blue stain fungus, and it turns usually it's in a birch. I've never seen it in anything but birch, but it turns it blue. It stains the wood blue. So that's a fungus that will occur in the birch, black birch usually, after it dies. Actually, I've only ever seen it in black birch. There may be different types of stain fungus that will go into others, but that one's blue stain fungus. Really cool. Yeah, Instagram is, I get confused as to which ones I've done on Instagram and which ones I put up on Facebook Live. So we're gonna go down because I would like to take you guys to another really cool place. So if you want to stick with me, I'm just gonna walk over to the pavilion that's located here at Rocky Neck. And one of the things here at Rocky Neck, oh, look at that big tree is down. Looks like an old oak tree fell. So when I was here, these cleared lanes right here, these were overflow parking. When the beach parking lot got full, we would park cars up here. All right, so take a look at how thick the mountain laurel is here. It's all green. Mountain laurel is green. This is an evergreen, a deciduous evergreen. So typically deciduous means a broad leaf that falls in the fall. And an evergreen would be a narrow needled leaf. But mountain laurel is one of those exceptions in nature. I like to talk about the exceptions in nature. And mountain laurel is a good example of that because it is a deciduous leaf that does not fall. Stays green all year. That makes it a great place for cover in the winter. Deer will love to bed down under here. Snowfall won't get to them. A lot of precipitation won't get to them. You can see we're almost in a tent right here with the mountain laurel. So this is really cool. Mountain laurel tends to get this really twisted stem, a little bit of shaggy bark, but very twisted branching. Looks like an old wizard staff or something. That's what I always think of when I see these mountain laurel growing. There's another bit of tree down across here. And you can see some mountain bikers have jumped this tree. Another oak. That's an oak tree. All right, we're going to continue along here. Because if you have not been to Rocky Neck, one of the coolest things that's here is the pavilion. It's a man-made structure, but it's pretty spectacular. This building was built during the Depression. It was completed by the WPA, the Work Progress Administration, in 1936. And it was actually begun by the CCCs and completed by the WPA. So the WPA gets credit for the building, but it was a CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps, not the same CCCs that I was in, the Connecticut Conservation Corps, which was years later. So two different CCCs. But this is the largest CCC project in the state of Connecticut. And most of the material for the pavilion was taken from the park itself. So the park, before the state took it over or purchased it, it was a dairy farm. The dairy farmer, his wife, was really ingenious woman. She didn't like laying off her farm staff. So what she did is she had them work in the wintertime. They would cut ice and they would bring it to the barns, one of the barns, pack it in straw, and then in the summer they would sell the ice. So I thought that was really cool. And that was just, she didn't want to lay people off. So she came up with something for them to do in the winter. So we can see the back of the pavilion now. All right. So I was saying, because there was farmland here, there were lots of stone walls, and that's where the field stone for the pavilion came from. They just gathered up those stone walls and brought them out here to build the walls of the pavilion. Now the family that owned this land, it was the Luce family, originally from Block Island. There were two brothers that purchased land on the mainland. They actually ended up selling the land and moving back to Block Island. But one of the other things that they did, they were very entrepreneurial. They leased this land out here where the pavilion is for a stone quarry. And the stone that was quarried here, it's a nice red granite, much of it was sent to New Jersey when they were building the New Jersey State House. So some of that stone is there. Now, when the pavilion was being constructed, they brought the field stone from the stone walls. The flagstone was also gathered from here and other parks. But then they also quarried out some granite. You can see these big chunks here. Quarried it from this spot to build the pavilion. Okay? Take a look at how gorgeous that giant building is. So this was it's dedicated to Ellen Mitchell. She was a state employee. So it's called the Ellen Mitchell Pavilion. We're going to take a look in the window. I don't work here anymore, so I don't have a key. If you can see those giant pillars in there, those are trees, and they have Roman numerals carved in them because each one of them was taken from a different state park or forest that existed at the time that the pavilion was built. So you can go through and find the Roman numeral on the log. I have not seen a key in a very long time. I'm not sure if the park supervisor here knows where the key is that tells you where each of those trees come from. There are also some great fireplaces in there. I'm not sure. They were functional when I worked here, but you can rent this pavilion out for weddings, receptions, and things. And at the far end over there, there's a beautiful oak tree that weddings are sometimes performed at. So let's take a look here. This is the Rocky Neck Jetty. Now, another entrepreneurial thing that the Luce family did is they actually leased this land out, and where this picnic flat was a fish oil mill. And they would go out and fish for Manhattan. They would bring the fish in. The jetty was there at the time. It had a deck on it with a railroad track, just short little railroad track, and they would roll carts back and forth carrying the fish from the ships to the fish oil mill. They would extract the oil from the fish, grind up the rest of the fish for fertilizer, and then they would use the fish oil in many different things. Now, someone's asking where we are. I'm at Rocky Neck State Park right now in Niantic, Connecticut. So, the fish oil process, when you're harvesting fish oil from a mill, it's really smelly. And many of the people in the area blamed this smell on diseases. I actually have when I worked at the Nature Center here, we had a newspaper article hanging on the wall from New London. And there was a doctor in New London that blamed the smell from the Niantic fish oil mill for diseases and outbreaks that were occurring in New London at the time, which is miles away from here. So you can imagine how smelly the fish oil process was, that they could smell it all the way in New London. That's 2 towns away from where we are right now. Another very special thing about Rocky Neck that's different from any of the parks in Connecticut is that beautiful white sandy beach. The sand is soft, it's beautiful, it's very white. The problem is that the Luce family sold a right-of-way to the railroad. So there's a railroad track that goes right behind, and it separates the beach from the rest of the park. So you actually park on the other side and you walk under a railroad trestle, which I always used to like being under the trestle when the trains went over. But this is one of Connecticut's jewel parks. There are so many jewels in the park system, Connecticut park system. One of the things, when the Luce family decided to sell the land, the park commission that was purchasing the land, they had a limited budget each year. And when the land came up for sale, they didn't have any money in the budget to buy the land. So a group of wealthy men put up their own money to hold the land. They held the land for 1 year because there was a developer. And if you look over there, you can see all the houses. The developer that bought that land wanted to buy the land that currently is Rocky Neck. So they tried to buy the land. The state, those men put up their money and were able to purchase the land the following year. So it was really awesome that those gentlemen did that so that we could have this as a state park. All right. You can see the rocks there. That's why it's called Rocky Neck. That beautiful rock outcropping. That's a natural rock outcropping over there. And this over here is a man-made jetty. All right, do we have any questions going? We have people watching from Higganum. I see someone saying they're coming here this weekend. That's awesome. Remember to keep your social distance. You want to keep 7 skunks away from the nearest person to you at all times, unless they're within your household. Then you don't have to stay away from them unless you want to. We're going to go back over here and take a look at the railroad track again. Someone's asking, did I talk about the Glacial Moraine? There's not really a visible glacial moraine here at Rocky Neck. The rock is all scraped bare. The glacier scraped off all the rock, and you're looking at, this is what we have here. This is all bedrock here. So this is the best view that you can get of the train track. Not really a very good view, but you can see the train track with the electrical lines. Someone's asking a question. We enjoy hiking the trails. Other side of the parking area. How old is Rocky Neck? So now I'm not going to remember the year that it was purchased. I haven't done this talk in a very long time. I worked here 20 years ago, and I don't remember off the top of my head when Rocky Neck was acquired by the state park system. I will make sure to look that up for you though and find out. I know that the pavilion was completed in 1932 and dedicated at that time. Or actually it wasn't, it was dedicated a few years after that. I'm going to show you the plaque that's on the pavilion. So there's the Ellie Mitchell Pavilion plaque. Okay, and we're going to show you on the other side of this wall is one of the fireplaces. See if we can get a look in there. You can see those are the trees that came from different parks and forests. There are forests in there as well. Someone says, I just stumped you. Yep, you're only allowed one of those a day, remember. Nobody else can stump me the rest of the day. Okay. Bedrock exposure instead of glacial moraine. Should have asked about the rocks and speak a bit about the geology. Thank you. This is great. All right, I'm glad that you guys are enjoying this. I think that every Friday I'm going to try and get out to another state park. So if you have a state park in your area that you think is really special or something that you'd like me to talk about, please send us a message on our website or on Facebook. And we'll plan on this, unless the weather's bad, then I might do it on a different day. But we'll plan on doing these on a regular basis. It's going to be a little bit longer, I think, just because we're able to get out and see these really cool things. I'm actually going to walk down here while I finish up. Let's flip the camera. Okay. So again, you can see these. They're archived on our YouTube, Meigs Point Nature Center YouTube page. They're also on our website, meigspointnaturecenter.org, and go to the Virtual Learning Center, Bluff Point and Harkness. Familiar with those. We love Rocky Neck, have hiked outside the park. Really cool. I'm glad that everybody is enjoying this. So again, Tuesday through Friday at 11 and 2 each day, I will be doing a program. So I just walked through the tunnel there. That's kind of cool. We'll be doing programs. We're trying to do animals in the morning program, so our 11 o'clock slot is going to be my favorite animal. And in the afternoon, we're doing lots of different things. Crafts. Oh, a bluebird just flew by. And you're not going to get to see it because it's way too far away. We'll be adding more content to the website, so vocabulary words, word searches, crossword puzzles, lots of fun things to do. We want to keep everybody busy, active, and learning. So, I will see you next week, Tuesday at 11 o'clock for our next live animal program. We've got some great animals coming up. We're going to be talking about a bullfrog at some point. I think I haven't talked about my copperhead yet. I have a copperhead snake at the Nature Center, so we'll be talking about that. But thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you next week